events applicable. Uh, what I learned from the two short videos here, one thing, that it is really easy to explain what is the conflict is about, but it's impossible to find any solution. And this is unfortunately the fact on the ground right now. Sometimes it is very difficult to understand the conflict via movies or TVs or newspapers. You have to live it in turn to understand what is the conflict is really about. And that's reminding me, we used to have a Dutch ambassador to Tel Aviv who served in Tel Aviv for 4 years. And then the new one arrived and the old one left. So the new one, after 1 week, he called the old ambassador in Holland and he told him, listen, it's really very difficult for me to understand the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Then the old one started laughing by saying, listen, it takes me 4 years and I never understand it. You want to understand it within 1 week? So it's sometimes very difficult even to the Israelis and the Palestinians who are living, by the way, together under that conflict to understand what is really going on. A lot of rumors, a lot of fabrications, a lot of lies are going around of the conflict. That's the major problem of the conflict. That I used to say all the time, if the conflict was really in the hands of the Palestinians and the Israelis, it is probably very simple to solve it. But unfortunately, the conflict right now is under several kind of hands and several kinds of fingers who are trying to play with such kind of conflict. And unfortunately, in my opinion, as a Palestinian, the international community these days became a part of the conflict rather than it is a part of the solution. And this is why sometimes I used to call it a business conflict. And while it became a business conflict, I don't think that there is any will around the world to solve it. Because everybody is much more care about his own business and his own interests and his own income. And this is unfortunately how it is going on. Now, I believe that tomorrow, if you will attend my lecture, I will speak much more about the conflict, and much more I am going to focus tomorrow evening about the internal Palestinian conflict. By the way, we don't have only one conflict. Probably with Israel we have one conflict, but among ourselves we have several conflicts. With the Arab countries we also have a lot of conflicts. So probably tomorrow I will talk much in more details about it. So today David just asked me to talk a little bit about myself. I am a Palestinian. I born in the old city of Jerusalem under the Jordanian government in 1958. After the 1948 war, the West Bank was under the rule of Jordan and the Gaza Strip was under the rule of Egypt till 1967, when Israel occupied the West Bank and Gaza, and Israel is the only one who united the West Bank with Gaza, by the way. I remember when I was a student, 6-7 years old at the school, I never ever read even a word about Gaza. We have no idea what does it mean, Gaza. We never know that Gazan people are Palestinians like us. only after the 67, when the Gazan people were allowed to enter to the West Bank and the West Bankers were allowed to enter to the Gaza Strip, then we realized that there is another Palestinian part called Gaza Strip. So I born in the old city in Jerusalem, and 1 year before the 67 war, which means exactly in June 1966, the Jordanian government decided to evacuate 500 Palestinian families from the old city and to take them to the north of Jerusalem in a place called Shafat refugee camp. Now, why the Jordanian government decided to do so, there is no explanation until today about it. I try to ask Palestinians why Jordan took such kind of process. I ask Jordanians, I ask Israelis, and no one has even an explanation why the Jordanian government did so 1 year exactly before the 67 war. So we went to Shafat refugee camp. It was a miserable life, by the way. There was no water, there was no electricity, there was no toilets in our houses, only public toilets. Imagine at midnight, if you want to use the toilet, you have to go to leave your house probably 200, 300 meters, yeah, to reach such kind of place. It was so miserable. So who make me a refugee is not Israel, is the Jordanians. I used to have a house, a rented house, of course, in the old city. It was so nice. I used to have electricity, by the way, over there. I used to have water inside the house. I used to have toilet inside the house. So why they moved us? Nobody understand the idea till today. So I grown up and developed in the refugee camp for 33 years. Only in 1999, I succeed to get out of the camp. How I succeed to get out of the camp? In 1999, I was nominated for a very high award given by an American organization in Los Angeles called Gleitzman Foundation. This foundation used to give every 2 years $100,000 for 2 winners. If these people are related to human rights or they are related to any kind of peace activities around the world. So in '99, I was chosen as a international human rights activist by the Gleitzman Foundation, and I was given by that foundation $50,000. So the first thing I did, I paid that amount of money as in advance, and I bought an apartment outside the refugee camp. And this is how I get rid, let's call it, from the refugee camp. By the way, still I have 6 brothers and 1 sister who are still living inside the refugee camp. Now, refugee camps are places which is created by the UN organization called the United Nations Works and Relief Agency. This organization has been founded by the United Nations in 1948 after the Palestinians left or expelled or evacuated or escaped, whatever you want to call, during the 48 war. So the Palestinians who left, let's say, their homes, their lands during the 48 war, they went, most of them, either to the West Bank or to the Gaza Strip. And those Palestinians used to live under tents from 1948 until 1952 for 4 years. Then, when the United Nations decided to create the UNRWA, the United Nations Works and Relief Agency, to take care on the Palestinian refugees, they start building rooms and giving each family 1 room or 2 rooms plus 80 meters square of land. So these days, we have in the Gaza Strip 8 different refugee camps, and we have in the West Bank another 12 different refugee camps. Beside that, we have still refugee camps in Jordan, we have in Syria, and we have in Lebanon. So these camps used to be under the responsibility of the United Nations. Means that the United Nations have to provide the services, the old services inside the camps, especially the education issue and the health issue. And they used also monthly to give a kind of different food to those Palestinian refugees who are living in the camps. Now imagine, since 1952 until today, the camp, which used to have 500 families in that time, now the camp became 70,000 people living inside in the same area. So these days, if you will go to the West Bank refugee camps, you will find houses with 10 floors or 12 floors, because people don't have land to build. So all the time they are going up and adding another floor, another room, another apartment, another. Looks like to me that this is one of the major obstacles for any kind of peace, or future peace, between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Because as a Palestinian, as a refugee, I am a person who believes that the issue of the refugees should have to be solved before anything else. Should have to be settled. How it could be settled, this is something that the international community, in my opinion, should have to discuss it. Now, the majority of the Palestinians these days believes that the Palestinian in diaspora, means in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Syria, they still have the right to return. But to return to where? To where? I visited, by the way, most of the refugee camps in Syria, in Jordan, and in Lebanon. And I asked these refugees, if in the future a Palestinian state will be created, will you come and live in the Palestinian state? Then these people said, no way. I said, why? He said, because if I am originally from Haifa, inside Israel, or from Yafo, inside Israel, if I will move to Nablus in the West Bank or in Hebron, still the Palestinians will continue considering me as a refugee, because this is not my city, this is not my land. I am originally from Haifa. Why you are living here? And I don't want that. But on the other side, the majority of the Palestinian refugees in diaspora believes that the right of return will never ever be applicable. Israel will never accept those refugees to come back to Israel. Will never. So what is the solution here? There is a very remarkable Palestinian organization who conducted a kind of survey in 2009 among the Palestinian refugees in diaspora in Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. And the question was in that survey, what is the better solution for your status as a refugee? You know, 70%, 70% said compensation. Compensation. And I think that this is the only probably applicable solution to the Palestinian refugees. Because these refugees almost living around 70 years in those Arab countries, from 48 until today. I don't think that any one of them want to leave. But still people want to improve their own life. They want a normal house, they want a normal hospital, they want a normal kindergarten, they want a normal university. That's exactly what these people are seeking right now. And by having to approach such kind of improvement in their daily life, I think that the compensation will play a very important role in their coming life. So I think that this is something that the international community should have to discuss it, to open it, to put it on the table, and before we are talking about solutions, we have some other issues that must have to be solved in terms to pave the way towards any future solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But to come today and to stand up and to say two-state solution is the solution, listen, what does it mean two-state? Where is the other state? Where is the other state? Let us take it step by step. Let us build the economy of the other state. Because without a good economy, I don't believe in the existing of any state around the world. You need a strong economy. Imagine if Israel tomorrow will accept the two-state solution, and Israel will say, okay, we will recognize the Palestinian state, and we are going tomorrow morning to withdraw from the West Bank. What will happen to the people? People will starve. We don't have work, we don't have jobs, we don't have any source of income. So this is not a solution today to come and to say two-state solution. Let us build the economy of the other state, and afterwards, probably that will be a good solution. So probably I will stop right now because we